everything that this guy does and being in the face of people on these aggressive picks, he just pilots the Skarner so well.
There's a few champions that I think he pilots really well. Trundle, another champion I think really leans into Monki, his ability to have unique early paths. I think that he gets a lot out of Trundle, and it has a little bit of bias towards it. I do have to mention Poppy, still up on the board. One of the more commonly banned champions we've had early on in the LPL, and definitely a champion that Monki has a lot of bias towards. Was part of that Game 3 win against JDG. We'll see if ends up making an appearance here in this first one.
Looks like this will be another first pick going over to Rise. No, never mind. All right, they just decided to bait until the very end. So we're going to see a first pick Ezreal come through for about... Cubby, I'm not going to lie, I am a little mystified that this is not something that we typically see unless we have an 80 carry that's like a legendary Ezreal.
Ezreal just keeps on climbing up in priority. It is a pick that gives you that different damage profile into the mages if you want it. And has been a really comfortable blind for a lot of ADs. I feel like the last set of buffs Ezreal got was extraordinarily unnecessary. And definitely put him into position to be taken first pick like he just was. But the response from LGD, going to be a Shaoye Lucian Milio coming in for Crisp, likely take that now. So WE, bit of a choice. Do they want to go for the standard Ezreal Karma or take that Nautilus? It does guarantee the engage against Emilio and Lucian, because, of course, Emilio's ult gets you out of the CC, but cannot get you out of the depth charge.
Yeah, I'm a little mystified as to why they took the Milio here. I think they could have waited. You're not going to pair up Ezreal Milio. It's just not something that's going to happen. I think you could have gotten a different priority pick.
Could have snagged Rise.
I think this... Yeah, I think that this answer is fine from Team WE, and they get that Rise on top of it. You know, perhaps that's not what LGD wanted. They want something else. We saw Karis on the Rise have some issues at times with his roam warps, putting himself in positions where maybe he shouldn't be, especially against JDG. We'll see what the answer is. Anivia has long been a solid one and is still a champ that you can flex out.
Yeah, I think it provides some control, too, for Lucian Milio, which is nice. Because obviously they're bringing the damage, but not really bringing the utility for your team. But bot lanes and mid laners locked up. Don't expect this to be a top lane Anivia. I know we've seen some of that. I think that chance for flexibility might be there, but given that Rise is showing mid, probably expect Anivia to go there first. And must say, you teased the meta earlier, Yanni. A lot of the meta has been around the 3v3s mid, just with mage bots being a thing. It frees up supports a little bit more. We've seen a lot of action around the mid lane globally with the changes made to the meta. And this is not a game where I expect the same, because LGD not going to be able to move with that Milio. Likely going to be paired up with Lucian at the hip for the majority of the game. Whereas Erha can move. So I think that obviously Anivia, really good matchup in Rise, but if you can throw resources in that lane, which LGD can't answer right now, can potentially impact that. So do want to see LGD ensure they get a strong jungler for themselves. I expect them to probably take it on 4 and preserve that Anivia flex, and also just give Burdol that 5 pick. But I feel like you have to blind something strong here, just to have a chance to try and answer the extra action that WE is likely to throw mid.
Yep, a lot of junglers getting taken out. I am curious to see what LGD...
Yeah.
I am curious to see what LGD is going to end up picking as a jungler, because with the bot lane that Team WE have together, About is going to be diveable, despite the fact that he is an Ezreal and does have the Arcane Shift to get out, because Erha is going to want to move. So you're either putting yourself in a position where you're locked into a 2v2, which is not going to be favorable for you, or you're going to move around Erha, which puts a clock on your timer, on your roam timers. If you're not back in enough time, they're going to dive about. They're either going to kill him, or they're going to prevent him from getting some critical CS. Hovering the Vi, I think the Xin would probably end up being a bit better of a look. It gives you a little bit of extra damage to make those dives happen if they want them.
It does lend some strength, but I feel like this gives Team WE more. They could take the Vi themselves if they want, have a bonus point click and a Lucian Milio.
Don't put your best player on Vi. Don't do it.
Yeah, you also interact all right in Anivia, though. I have a little bit more pro Vi bias than most, but I agree with all the sentiment about first rotation Vi. I do. I think that late, if there are things showing where Vi gets value, she's very valuable, and this might be a case for Monki. Don't think it's the Poppy value. I know that you can play it in a Xin, but into Anivia, Poppy just feels like a nightmare. Getting zoned around by the Glacial Storms, and also Lucian too.
I was thinking Kiana might be a look here. It feels like if you don't get the Jarvan Rumble, you really want to get this Kiana Rumble, just to make it a little bit easier for that equalizer to go down on some CC targets. Looks like that's going to be the lock-in here for a Team WE and a Monki. So, again, Monki is going to have this early game strength. He's going to be able to try and make these skirmishes happen, do some crazy things by hopping over walls and cut down on some timers and take LGD by surprise. And it's going to be Yorick as the answer into this Rumble to cap off this draft. Cubby, what are your thoughts on both sides?
Kind of surprised it wasn't K'Sante there, as I think K'Sante makes Kiana's life a lot harder. I've been very anti-Kiana so far, as I think that there are a lot of picks in games that just neutralize Kiana in full. I don't think that as many of those things exist this time around for LGD. You actually play pretty well into Anivia, get a bonus wall. Xin knockup obviously is going to be really tough to play around as Kiana, and I think it's going to be a lot of onus on Heng to try and pick the target with his knockup. And for me, the target just kind of has to be Kiana. I really favored Team WE's draft in this one, though. I think that their priority early on is going to really allow them to be active and play into the Anivia, potentially play into the Yorick too. And if they are able to set those laners behind, that's going to be good. I think that on the flip side, Team WE, Anivia can stall out the game, Yorick can split the game. And so you got to try and find a way to play with the core of 4 and try and get this Yorick ahead a bit. But I think LGD has all the tools possible to try and play into this Yorick. So would really like to see them set that Yorick behind. I expect the Kiana to be ahead. And if they can play, or a clean game, sorry, WE. I saw the names at the bottom. I got flipped up. I very much prefer WE's comp. I feel like they need to play to the Yorick. And if they do that, set Yorick behind, I feel like their roadmap to victory is there.
Yeah, I must say, for both sides, I think this is the first time in a long time I think that both drafts are pretty good. I think they're very cohesive in what both sides want to do. It's just a matter of, can WE play this early game super well that they've been so good at, put LGD behind, and make sure this Anivia and Yorick can't get off the ground. It's game 1 of the first best of 3 series of the day, starting now.
Of course, NIP not in the game, but we are in their home arena. So it'll be fun to have the week of LPL there, as it's going to be a fast and furious regular season, Yanni. It's a lot of 3-game days. They stack this calendar full within the month to make sure that they get Split 3 done in time to decide our 4 representatives at Worlds. And these two teams on the Rift we have are really trying to sneak in there, because no one expects for them to be in that top 4. But a win today could really help propel them into closer conversation for which one of these teams can play upset to the big dogs we have in the LPL.
LGD firing back pretty well down in that bottom lane. It's always hard with Lucian Melio at first, but once he gets a level 2, things tend to even out a little bit. Getting Erha to half health, definitely going to be very beneficial. But to your point about these two teams, again, I think the goal for LGD is to at least sneak in to this regional final to try and get a spot at Worlds. I think for Team WE, it's to claim that 4th spot at Worlds. So a lot of growth that these teams are going to have to do, but I think that both of these teams certainly have the ability to get their goals achieved. For LGD, maybe shoot even a little higher.
I mean, for WE, if you get the reps internationally that they had last split, they would have been there. If it was a 4 teams,
no doubt.
Right? I just think that everyone looks at this team and looks at the other rosters in the LPL and says, we don't think you can do it again. We're both in agreement. And I think WE is probably the favorite to be a little bit more of a pest than LGD. But the run that Cube and Karis had, I really feel like these guys have to emulate that again. Because just looking at their career and the barometer of what we usually expect out of these guys, they performed better than what we thought. Would it really matter in Split 2 playoffs? I mean, they nearly beat BOG twice to get the MSI. That would have been the craziest story going into the tournament. It really would have. And I just think it would be a fun testament to this team if they stepped up again and kept that form. Because when this team has been in form, they can beat the best teams we have in the LPL. It's just that they haven't been able to string it along for a regular season into a playoff. It's always been spurts. And to see them string it, I think would be really fun. Because Monki teams are fun teams to watch.
One thing that we neglected to mention is that both AD carries carrying Exhaust for this game about already had to use his. Shaoye went for an engage. We have seen both junglers just kind of chill out, hang out on their own sides. There was some good early warding from LGD to ensure that Monki was not going to have any funny business, no monkey business going on. But just some early clears and a recall at a Heng, but Monki maybe looking for this mid lane.
Gonna base on the cannon wave here for about Erha, as Monki, again, faster clear for him. Xin Zhao did take the base. Monki sticks around.
Karis ghosted. Tangyuan should know. But Tangyuan saw him ghost in and decided that he was not going to walk away. He was not scared. He stands his ground, he loses his flash, and he loses his egg.
No omelet, though. So, stays alive, doesn't get cooked.
Eggs are expensive. You can't just waste them.
They are. I wish I knew the price of eggs, but I'm not much of a breakfast person.
That's okay.
We
do know
I would fail a political test right there, which fortunately not on here. But we do have Erha getting active.
It might have a real cost. We'll find out. So already we have Erha just holding his Q, getting the flash out of Burdol. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it back to his turret as Monki shows up to clean it up and pick up first blood.
Great walk from the support of Team WE. Talked about win cons coming into this game. York, if you play this matchup in isolation against Rumble, you can win this one. But again, the proactivity from the Nautilus into the Milio and the rise into the Anivia, Kiana in the Xin, I think the opportunity for Team WE to make moves early is there. First move going into the York lane, I like a lot. I think that this has to be the roadmap to victory for Team WE this game. Set that solo laner that can stretch the map behind and ensure that you are able to manage him and then group up where your comp's going to be stronger.
Hang on, Root going down at a Heng. There was a very good Anivia wall there from Tangyuan to
that was nice.
Keep him alive. We're not going to see any engage from the Nautilus, but a really solid early game plan so far from Team WE. They just picked the right spot to attack, knowing that LGD was not going to be able to punish. So we're going to need to see them try to find a way to get some aggression going, and this could do it, getting about to half HP, but Shaoye doesn't want anything more. Meanwhile, Monki on an invade. Heng is going to show up. Tangyuan going to teleport into the mid turret, but Monki is going to be able to secure the wolves. So already LGD struggling against the early game aggression of the Team WE jungle.
Kiana wins those with the smite and the execute that she has if she grabs the right terrain there in the queue. But I really like the defense that Monki was able to play there. Obviously, taking the Wolves is nice, but securing the Raptors, too. Just a good read from Monki and Team WE about, hey, we showed top, that's a successful gank. What's the answer going to be like from Heng? And it was to clear down and try and contest the Raptors, which they were able to deter. So, good map movements from WE early on here as a team, as we expected them to have priority, have the ability to make plays and be there first, and so far, I think they've gotten a lot out of it.
Now, because of that early gank on the top side, the consequence was that Bout did have to recall earlier. So, item-wise, he is quite far behind Shaoye at this point. The Sheen over on the Lucian going to make a large impact. He's going to try to pick up these honey fruit, and Monki started up the dragon, did not go in on the Lucian. So now LGD is well aware that this is happening. Walls could be closing in onto Karis. Speaking of walls, we're waiting for that one to come out, and it does. He gets slowed up. Heng not going to be able to land. The wind becomes light.
Nice click there from Karis. He's going for Chris.
Another aggressive one. Chris will flash over the wall, so Erha not going to have a chance to land a hook, but this does secure the first dragon of the game for Team WE, and with Grubs in a minute, I'd imagine they might want to go after those two and take them away from Burdol.
No more
exhaust for exhaust. The culling, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage right now. About's going to flash over the wall. So is Shaoye, and he's going to dash him down. A relentless pursuit out of the LGD AD carry gets it done.
Flash test passed. Solo Q connects for Shaoye as he takes down the rookie, and About. That said, movements to the top side going to be active for Team WE. That's a really big pickup. I like the sequence that Team WE had there to get the dragon. I think that getting Chris Flash as well is something that is easily punishable from a team that has a Nautilus and a Rise. So I feel like that sets WE up for the future play, but really important that Shaoye steps up there. And you mentioned it, Yanni, some of the punishments for these walks from Erha has been that Shaoye, with that support at his hip, has had better bases, had more items in his inventory, and cashes in on a pretty big solo kill. And a point of the game where I still feel like the two champs are pretty tightly contested. accelerated Lucian can really pressure a game with Emilio in his back pockets. We'll see what Shaoye can do.
It's just another rookie mistake from About. He's made a few of them throughout his 2026 debut year. You just have to know that that is not something that you can try to do. And LGD can have full control of this top side right now. They are going to pick up the grubs for themselves. A big boon to Burdol over on the top side. If LGD can make it to that late game point where the Yorick is able to split the map, they are going to really get a lot of value over on those grubs. Monki, though, recognizing that this is a thing, and they're going to go down, look to make a play onto Shaoye. He's up against the wall, tries to dash away, but that is not a play that you can make, and the snipe from About gets himself a kill.
I mean, grubs going over is not worth what Shaoye just lost in the bot lane, and WE's not done. They didn't burn a lot for that. It was only really the Supreme Display of Talent. Erha.
They're going to try to fight a 3v4. They immediately burst out Erha. Now they're going to look for Karis next, who is not where he needs to be. He will flash over the wall. Heng going to drop his ultimate down just to protect himself a little bit more. But not a whole lot of damage out of Tangyuan, who does not have mana, and a lone Melio.
And Nautilus died fast, as I don't think he even had Aftershock available. I honestly kind of like the idea of Team WE. They still kept Shaoye off that wave. He had to go mid as Tangyuan stepped down to help.
They got
out
a lot
with
of
the
value
fight.
out of that.
They did. It still sets Shaoye behind. Obviously, the kill going over the LGD helps equalize that a bit, and they did get the grubs. However, I think getting that gold and experience away from Shaoye right after the solo kill, it's back to About in the lead and on pace to match first item, which wasn't the case beforehand. So I know grubs going over to LGD is it's a win, but I prefer where WE are at and what they got off that last play.
I couldn't agree more. You know, you're trying to get to the late game of this Yorick, of this Anivia, and your bridge is Xin Zhao and Lucian. So if you are trying to deconstruct their bridge, take him out from the knees, take out Shaoye, make him have a much harder time. He's down about 20 CS right now. This is a severe deficit for a Lucian in the early game against an Ezreal. It was just a good team look from WE. In a minute and 30 seconds, I'm sure that impact is going to be felt.
Yeah, kind of rare that we see a Qiyana down in CS versus an opponent, but I think it speaks to how active Monki's been. Did give up the Grub contest to try and make a play here as we have Karis posturing for a Realm Warp, and LGD is respecting it. They have a lot of vision, but Team WE were sitting out of it. They had a Realm Warp. It's going to be maybe sending Karis and the captain into the bot lane, but props to LGD for reading that one. That was a pretty nice read from LGD, just off the hover, and what could happen with Chris still being down flash for that wave only. It's going to get flash back up on the next wave. So I think giving up that pressure was the right move from LGD.
You can see LGD starting to move up their vision line a little bit. Crisp just got one down in the pixel brush on the bottom side as this dragon's going to come up in about 40 seconds. Now we've got Heng coming in to try and clear some of these wards. So LGD very much looking to stand and fight at this next dragon in 30 seconds. Despite the fact that Shaoye is down just over 1,000 gold, he is pretty strong. The only problem is, I don't know if you saw it before this lower third came up, About just finished his Trinity Force.
It's going to be big to have as Dragon spawns in 15. WE trying to get control through mid and already pushing Heng to the bot side of the river. Where the setup for LGD is a little bit split here. Anivia's TPing in late, so Ryze is going to get control of this wave. And yeah, decent chip damage into the Xin Zhao already.
Just cleared a little bit of vision.
Shaoye split,
now
they
down
might
to
find
half.
him.
Because Burdol's down to half HP, this does mean that Cube can teleport into this fight, and Burdol's going to have a hard time actually trying to get a lot of a push here. Hook does go down on a Crisp, but here comes that Realm Warp over on the backside, culling down on the Monki. It's very much below half HP.
Oh, no.
Getting pushed away, and he'll finally go down, but they're so split. The exhaust for exhaust, but About is going to win that fight every time. Forces the flash out of Shaoye. It is a quick pick for Team WE, and it means that the second dragon to the game is theirs.
I thought that LGD played around Monki pretty well in that fight. I mean, Shaoye kited out the initial dash from Monki, did use the culling to push him off, and then Monki whiffed the Supreme Display of Talent, as that was not a talent show victory for him. However, the damage of Qiyana was enough to ensure they still get a kill on the dragon, and About just kind of forcing Shaoye out when he didn't have the culling. Yeah, if culling's down, you're at Trinity Force, you win that. So I think a good read there from About and WE. And a fight that honestly didn't look pretty for them. They still get the 1 for O, get the dragon, and keep control of this game.
Yeah, the sole difference in that fight was Team WE were connected as a team, and LGD were not. About is closer to his guys than Shaoye is to the rest of LGD. I'm sure we'll have a replay pulled up at some point soon, because I'd be surprised if we didn't at this point. Come on. The LPL team might be slacking just a little bit.
Or
a good spot.
We just need to make sure Monki looks good, you know?
True.
We can't have any narratives
not
that are
pretty.
poor. Yeah.
Depressing display of talent, one might say.
Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that we get the best moments when Monki chimps out. That was not the best of the chimp out there, you know.
No, but as you said, still gets the job done. Puts a 2,000 gold lead for Team WE just before 15 minutes, which, as we talked about, was something that Team WE needed to jump out and get. If they're not going to fill up the stat sheet with a bunch of kills, they're going to need to get some dragons. Well, they got 2 dragons. They got a couple kills. They got this large lead. You have to be feeling good about it. Now it's just a matter of what can LGD do to try and turn this back in their favor, with Herald coming up in just about a minute.
I think, see, this is where I didn't love the draft, just because I think that WE gets to be so active on the map. And it really, like, we've seen them really shut down the side lanes. The fact that they've had Nautilus versus Milio, and then the Rise, like, I was asking for some activity or proactivity. I mean, we've really seen LGD. They've had to give every side that's been pressured. I think this is the first time where we're going to see them answer decently. They do have 3 grubs, and with this split, they're going to take this turret faster. So if they can try and burn this one down, it's at least going to be a little something for the Anivia. But you just see that with just the threat of the Realm Warp, the push that WE has with their champs, and the ability for the Kiana Nautilus to really move. This map has been all Team WE's early.
Yeah, I think they've played a more cerebral game than we're really used to seeing this team play, which is pretty impressive. You know, they did make some mistakes against JDG once they got later on into the game, especially when they had Baron buff, where they'd just be a little bit too bloodthirsty. And it's nice to see them kind of cut back on that thirst a little bit while still posturing aggressively. I'd really like to see that, and we'll see how much that can develop. But we might see a fight break out here as LGD starting to link up as a team. Shaoye and Crisp not quite connected. Heng's going to go in a perfect wall, and Monki is on the wrong side of the tracks. Karis is going to show up. Heng trying to frontline, but he can't survive through it. The Cube teleport with the flash, and the Cryo Phoenix is getting burnt. Gordon Ramsay could be proud of Cube cooking him, and it's 2 more kills for Team WE.
An Eggs Benedict for 2 as Cube cooks up the egg for the team, and LGD just don't have any pressure on this map. As this TP in from Burdol is really awkward. They're going to try and hit the turret, but I think that LGD are playing to the beat of Team WE's drum.
Oh, good!
So they do get Erha's flash.
Good
My God,
ultimate. Cube. Wow, that was such a good equalizer coming out from Cube, rebuffing anything that LGD want to do. And they are falling further and further behind. Another, the first turret, I should say, claimed for Team WE, puts them up over 4,000 gold. Cubby, let's break down this replay.
Again, just the smites from Kiana better. And this initial engage, Monki gets out of really slickly, uses the Anivia wall kind of against LGD, and the rest of this fight, it's just not in LGD's power window. Shaoye and Chris get split as he's got to kite out Erha. And the TPs that came in from Burdol kind of put him in Narnia. Tangyuan also just not able to connect with his team. So I thought the initial look on the Monki, I mean, it was a maybe, but not enough damage to pack behind it. And Tangyuan's going for a pretty slow build, just with the Roa into what I expect to be a Morellonomicon. Or not a Malignant, sorry. And Shaoye, for me, right now, needs to be the damage. So if you're not connected with Lucian, I just don't think that the plays are there for LGD. And yeah, it's been a really slow game for LGD. This has been Team WE drafting a lot faster comp and playing it really well.
Yeah, LGD, as you said, the connection has just not been there, as was previewed, you know, in the clips from earlier before we got into draft. They have struggled at times to really link up as a team. Yeah. We have seen them do it from time to time, but at critical fights they haven't been able to. And again, this is cropping up and becoming an issue. 10 seconds until the dragon is up. It looks to be soul point for Team WE, and if that team picks up a mountain soul, I don't know how LGD is going to muscle through that.
I don't even think LGD should attempt to muscle through the setup that Team WE has right now. I mean, triple control wards. Tangyuan's going to get one off a nice wall, but yeah, you got grubs. Go use them elsewhere. I feel like, I mean, Burdol is down TP. I think this just has to be a Drake where they give and try and get what gold they can with the grubs, but instead, you're going to go for a handshake, and WE are strong enough where they're like, okay, we're at least going to clear out this wave, which is a cannon. They drop the rift. Maybe it can stop the crash if it's a good wall.
All right, yep.
Yep.
Good wall. Good job there.
But,
still
yeah, just
going to
hit
be
the
able to
wave
get a
and
plate.
return. Just hit the wave and return to the dragon. And this dragon, I mean, with all the tools that have been burned, is it going to be better or worse for LGD to contest this dragon? I don't think the answer is better.
Yeah, now Shaoye is down to half HP after that True Shot Barrage landed. We're finally seeing pings on this top side, and Burdol is finally moving up there, but it is too little too late. He doesn't have a wave anymore. Immediate pings coming through for Team WE to go up and answer that as well once these recalls get off, and it's a missed opportunity for LGD. They tunneled on the dragon. They come away with absolutely nothing.
And York's a champion where if you're ahead of the game, you feel like you can take a 1v3 and anything's possible. And if you're behind, you feel pretty useless because what you were there for is damage and split push threat. Burdol's behind. That was an opportunity to at least get something, to maybe get back into the game, get ahead a wee bit. It's not going to be anything. It's just going to be a reset and a wave fix that is going to be answered by Karis as the pressure from WE continues. About almost gets the mid lane turret down. Instead, him and Shaoye have a gentleman's agreement to go down to 1/3 health to make the next wave a little bit more spicy.
Well, I don't know how spicy it's actually going to be with this turret on a sliver. Burdol is once again in the mid lane here to try and back up the LGD bot lane, who has struggled immensely. Karis, as you mentioned, making things happen on the top side, getting a plate, almost 2 plates. It is a very tough game for LG to play out. They've been outfought, and Team WE is outthinking them at every step of the game.
And I really return to the draft for this one. I don't like this LGD draft. I agree with like what Anivia and York can do as a combo. I like the fact that Anivia can stall out the games and kind of hold as a formation of 4, and you can let York split, but you know that, like just given the early draft, once you go Lucian Milio, like, the not rise was there for Team WE, and that they answered it with slowness across the board. I really don't feel like any of the champs that LGD drafted had the opportunity to play faster than what WE had on our screen. So when that happens and you play League at this level, and you just kind of give the team, the enemy team, the opponent to play the game when you don't get to play the game, yeah, I mean, if it's a good team, you're going to lose the game. I think that it's really easy for a lot of fans to point to, like, 3 losing lanes, losing jungle, like, why? And I honestly feel like this was a game where it is losing jungle, 2 losing solos early, and a bot lane that can win but needs time, and you're just giving the ability for the Nautilus and the Rise to walk everywhere with a Kiana. And that's exactly what we saw happen in this game.
Yeah, especially in this meta, too, where roaming is so strong. It was a tough look there for LGD. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they're able to kind of force their way through and try and recover this game. But I think it's going to be a tough one, Cubby.
LGD have 2 minutes to try and get control over this Dragon Pit, as killing the crab will help. It's empowered as we're past the 20-minute mark, and Baron is on our screens. But yeah, so far the answer is it's just been handshaking of waves. We haven't really seen this formation of 4 yet for LGD, and Tangyuan was hovering mid, but he went to answer top late, and Karis has farmed 4 plates up here. As I'm sure that he's going to base after this wave 1 more, as we have him maybe engaged. TP coming in.
Okay, we're giving it a look here. The cube has landed on the backside. I'm going to go after him. He will be forced to burn his flash to escape. This dragon in 1 minute and 20 seconds here. We've gotten some critical summoners out of Cube, so a lifeline potentially for LGD to try to crawl their way back into this game. They are going to need to execute well on it.
Is it a lifeline, though? It's a single flash down, Yanni. I'm staring at 3 Drakes, a 5k gold lead, and I've got to fight this one. As about finished the Spear of Shojin, and Karis has finished the Cubby belt, which I don't really know what we're Chovy belting this game, but you know what? F it, we ball. As we'll see what Karis can do with that item activation. We'll see if LGD can even...
Oh my goodness.
We'll see if they can even sniff this bot lane river, which so far is not looking good.
Well, they're not recalling. I feel like you almost immediately have to recall after 3 members got tagged with a True Shot Barrage, but they're electing to stick around. They have priority over the river for the moment. Dragon going to be up in 15 seconds.
Monkey's going all the way around here. The observers haven't spotted it yet, but on our mini-map,
that ward does get pinged out. They are aware that he's there. There it goes. Doesn't really land on too many members. Heng trying to get back with the team, but the Anivia wall is going to cut him off. He's got to flash over. Tangyuan is super low, and Karis is sprinting at him. Takes him down, gets exhausted, and almost finds Shaoye as well. Meanwhile, the rest of Team WE are putting LGD through the meat grinder. It's 2 more kills. It's going to be Mountain Soul as well.
Karis flashed in and Chovy belted out of the culling. Who cares about item efficiency? Let's make big plays, baby. He got in there, was able to end the fight. And man, this game just all WE from the start, Yanni. I really feel like LGD, this draft was not it. They did not draft any pressure or any priority in a meta where it's been all about mid 3v3s. Didn't really get the opportunity to play the game. Love this engage from Monki. It splits the jungler from the rest of the team. You're in a scenario where what do you want? You want Mountain Soul. If you take the jungler out, that's the best case scenario. Force all the tools out. Karis 1v2s the carries in the back line. That was a nice Chovy belt getting out of that culling from Shaoye. And no chance for LGD in this game. Hopefully they give themselves a little bit more of a chance in draft, because this for me is a draft where, again, you play League at the highest level and you give one team all the cards to make plays early. I really feel like you're signing up to lose. It's not respecting your opponents on the other side of the rift, and that's the draft we ended up with from LGD. Again, it has some pieces that I can see the vision of, but it's too slow. And we really felt that against a Team WE that played a very sound map 1.
Very good stuff. Again, we talked about how this team can be so bloodthirsty at times, and at other times they can get over-aggressive and almost get punished for their hubris, and right now have played controlled and very intelligently. And, I mean, all you see about is just running circles around Shaoye at this point. It felt like after that 1v1 that about lost, he really locked in afterward. It's a big reason why he's up so far is the way he's played these fights. And again, LGD, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and find a composition that can group up a little bit easier and make a lot of these fights easier on themselves. It is tough to do against a team like Team WE, who you know is going to come in and always try to be on the same page.
Always try and go for early plays. I mean, what was Monki doing that had his team in position to beat BLG? Did it once and maybe twice. It was early game plans and how he saw the map in the first 5 minutes. And we didn't see anything too fancy there. I think the first gank that they had mid to get the flash and the A got of Tangyuan was really nice, or Tangyuan was really nice. But it really wasn't anything too fancy this game from Monki. It was just the fact that he clears faster, his mid pushes faster, and his support can walk where the enemy's support can't. And we saw Erha and Monki do a nice job of syncing up and cashing in on that. It wasn't anything too special, just some damn good League of Legends.
Well, we're finally seeing some split push here, as Burdol is down on that bot side, looking to take that bot inner turret. Well, Team WE have said, you know what, we are going to do the Baron. We'll see if there's anything that can be done by LGD, the immediate cleanse from the Breath of Life, but it won't matter all too much. A good equalizer to slow up the squad, and here comes everybody on the side of Team WE. Knockup is there onto Heng. He's looking for Erha, but that backside, they're just flashing on top of the carries, and the carries flash out of existence. Crisp will fall down too. It's a double kill for Monki, and the game-ending push could come through here for Team WE.
You know, that realm warp into the 2-man depth charge, it really felt like it was some pancakes with the side of Eggs Benedict there. As I just watched LGD get pancaked in that fight, Yanni. It was a pretty solid game here from Team WE, who coming off a nice win against JDG last night. Not stopping, not slowing down. They had the proactivity, the ability to make plays early, and they cash in them.
Can't stop, won't stop. Team WE looking to continue their torrid Split 2 end of Split run into Split 3. Have taken a win in Game 1 over LGD. 1 win away from putting themselves at a very solid 2-1 start.
Yeah, and again, for LGD, I really feel like the draft, you need to take elements that are faster. We did not see that from them in this game. Team WE had all the cards to make plays, and they made the plays, and that was good to see. This Team WE team has been a team where at times it can get chaotic, but I think that when they are at their best, it's when Monki is allowed to run his early game strips that are usually different. And honestly, it was kind of nice to see them have an early game where they didn't have to do anything too weird with Monki. I think the mid lane look was like maybe a wee bit what Anivia wasn't expecting, but it's not anything like, you know, some of the stuff we've seen Monki pull throughout other LPL games. It wasn't anything too special here for Team WE. That was just a really solid team win, and frankly, I think seeing more of that from Team WE against teams that we hope they take care of business of, for me, would build a lot of confidence in them being an actual competitor with the big dogs we have in the LPL. Because while Team WE proved that in the playoffs they can compete with the big dogs, no one believes that the team that was 1-13 in the regular season can really do it again in Split 3. I think that consistent wins against teams that we expect to be lower than them in the standings, or teams we expect to be next to them in the standings in LGD, that almost builds more confidence up for me with Team WE than beating JDG. Because this is a team that variance in performance is high.
Yeah.
If they're having consistent wins like this, I think that's something that really to build upon, and for me, elevates them into that conversation as the team that is most likely to threaten the top 4, which is where I feel like Team WE is right now.
Win number 600 in the books for Team WE, so congratulations to them. Hopefully, they'll be able to clean up the entire series if you were a Team WE fan. But yeah, I really couldn't agree more about how that draft shook out for them. They are the group and fight team. They have been since the playoffs in Split 2. Group early, fight early. It's something that they've been so good at. It's something they put on display here. And for the other side on LGD, I think that this shows that if you're not quite ready to be able to pull out a composition that requires careful early game play and superior macro, we saw a lot of times where they had opportunities to take advantage of the fact that they have an Anivia, that they have a Yorick, and they chose not to do them. They chose to dance around at objectives instead of sending that Yorick to split push that has 3 grubs. And it's a big reason why they were so weak later on. Your only strong member was this Lucian, and comparatively, he was much weaker than the Ezreal.
It's funny because I feel like a big part of this game was not using the grubs from Burdol, as you just highlighted, but also that initial grub play where WE traded the grubs to go attack bot. And right after the solo kill we saw on our screen, this is what happened to Shaoye, where he was pushed off and pushed out. Play. And yeah, I think that really solidified a bounce lead. Something we didn't talk about a lot in this draft because we had a lot of other issues with it. There's also no good way to get on Ezreal. So when a bout gets ahead like this, like, the only way to get on it is to hope Xin Zhao goes in and then to, like, have damage backing that up. Anivia reaching Ezreal is not really something that's in the cards. So I think that when a bout got ahead, yeah, this just wasn't a good game for LGD. And we're still seeing some difficulties in terms of formations. I think that I will give them a little bit of leniency because, again, they didn't have the ability to move first anywhere on the map. So next game, the bar's low in terms of draft. We'd love to see at least one lane that they can play through or win off of. Because this was not it for LGD, as they kind of got ran around the rift and didn't feel like they had a real opportunity to get in that game.
Yeah, I want to see Tangyuan on something that's a little bit more active. He's been such a core part of the success of this team. He has played much better this year and was a big reason why they were so good in Group Nirvana. Really has had 2 good performances, I'd say, to start the split, but you're putting him on a champion that doesn't get active as much. Like, I think his Syndrome was so good up against Shanks in their game against AL, so I want to see him on something a little bit more like that. Cubby, let's talk player of the game. I mean, I think most of the time you end up giving it to Monki on Team WE teams, but thought About did a lot in this game later on, especially. Some of these true shot barrages before the fights broke out just made it so LGD never had a chance.
I'm Camp Erha for this one. I think
that's good too.
I think
supports do need love too.
I think the top lane walk at level 3 was really good to get that kill. And then I think the walk bot to force Shaoye off was quite good. But the boom boom damage, not going to be about...
Oh, he did have 100% KP.
Yeah, but you see, Erha did too. But you know what? We didn't show the Mist Supreme Display talent, and now we have a Monkey Pog. So maybe the Monkey Monkey narrative train, pushing Monkey forward as should be deserved. Who knows? Maybe we're setting him up to be the next jungler at BLG, you know, with all the roster carousels we have.
Again, we're sending him back to BLG?
Dude, Monkey, you know, I've said a lot that I really want Monkey to have a team. And this Team WE team is doing more to convince me that he does have a team. It's his friends that he has at home right now. So, see if Team WE can keep doing that. Because this is a team that we're excited to watch. And while we have our issues historically with Cube and Karis, we haven't seen them as much this split. And I know that I said Cube was kind of on fraud watch for his first 2 series. It was a nice game 1 from him. It was played out well. So, hope to see more of that from Cube and Team WE, who had a really solid game 1.
Now, my big question, Cubby, and I don't know if we're going to get an opportunity to see it, is who voted for who in this game, right? How many votes did we get for Erha for player of the game?
And what did the AI vote for? Because
that's what I want to know too.
I've had my complaints about the AI voting, or the AI chart that shows in drafts early on. I've been very critical of it, and I would like to say accurate, because I remember the victories.
How can you be critical of it when they've now put a face to it? They got the JDG gamer girl as the face of the AI.
You know,
how can you be upset?
So I will say this is I had a pitch going. It didn't convert this offseason, but it's gonna be a co-stream with one of the LCS teams. It's gonna be in their office with players there. Would have been really cool. Didn't get it off the ground. Okay. The person that I was pitching to, they pitched this, not me. They wanted to have an AI predictor, and they wanted to call it AI will dominate. So it would be like AI WD. It would have been really funny. So I'm glad they put a face to the AI name. I feel like if we were able to put a face to that one, that would have been really funny. It probably would have been a DM that I would have had to have sent, or one of us would have had to have sent, where it's like, is it okay if we do this? I think it would have been a lot of fun though.
Well, yeah, the AI did vote for Monkey. Had a couple of votes. Only 2 votes for your boy Erha. So 6 out of 8 for Monkey. Pretty solid stuff there. Before we go for our first break of the night, if you would like to support the LPL English project, you should consider becoming a Coffee member. Why? Well, it's because coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, because the vast majority of your contributions will go directly into the show. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and our content creators. If you subscribe to our Coffee, which will be linked in the chat, you can unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews. If you did not win the ticket lottery and you can't be at the World Finals, maybe you can be there in spirit by submitting a question for somebody on the LPL English team that will hopefully be there to ask. But with that, we're going to take our first break of the night. When we return, we'll be in the Game 2 draft between LGD and